Right ahead on Ebru Primetime News tonight, the numbers so far. Of course, you can see the total number of confirmed cases according to the John Hopkins Center, 2,293,644 confirmed cases across in the countries. Now we can see we have a total of 157,400 deaths. But in the US, we have a total number of tested people at 3,574,392 tested people. Of course, in the US, we have in Spain. In Italy, we have 23,227 deaths. In Spain, we have 20,043 deaths. In France, we have 18,681 deaths. In the United Kingdom, we have 15,464 deaths. In Africa, of course, we look at countries like Tanzania, and the numbers so far, of course, as we were that to open, you can see in the countries like in the US, we have 715,536 cases in the US. In Spain, we have 191,726 cases. In Italy, we have 175,925 cases. In France, we have 149,146. Of course, Germany there with 142,751, thereby closing the top 5 positions, of course, in these global numbers as far as the coronavirus pandemic global landscape is concerned. Of course, we have some states in the U.S. We have states like California have tested 251,614 people. States like the Florida in the U.S. has tested 239,982 people right there. Of course, we go to some of the countries according to our John Hopkins University Center map there. It seems to be having a little bit of a challenge there. And of course, in other countries, of course, like in Japan, we have 9,787 confirmed cases. In Chile, we have 9,730 cases. Of course, also coming away over this 1 hour, we see Nairobi in the red as each and every state in this particular county now recording a coronavirus case. We're asking the questions, why should you be worried? Stick around for answers on that. Of course, we'll also be looking at the situation in Eastleigh. We understand that this morning we had reports of a standoff there. We got reports of a fumigation exercise after an imam passed on there. Later on in the broadcast, we will be speaking to my colleague Ayub Abdi. You can see we can have him right now. I see we have Ayub. Good evening, brother. Good to have you. We'll be linking you later on in the bulletin with the situation in Eastleigh. But a brief precursor to the main situation. How was it down there today?
Well, good evening, Kazungu, and good evening to our viewers. It was not the normal morning in Eastleigh, Nairobi County, which is a business hub, owing to locals waking up to police patrols, what appear to have been coordinated effort by the security agencies and the Eastleigh business community, owing to the shutdown order by the business community yesterday on Friday, following the confirmation of the first case, and that resulted in the death of an imam or a local Quranic teacher here in Eastleigh. And it explains perhaps why the government is upping its game in regard to the pandemic here in Nairobi County, where now all the estates, according to CS Kagwe, have been affected.
Of course, we'll be speaking to Ayub Abdikadir in a little bit lengthy as we continue with this bulletin. But first things first, the headlines. All right, that's right. Ebru Primetime News on this 18th day of April 2020 begins right now. Good evening and welcome aboard. My name is Kenneth. Kazungu. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Joyce Werimo. The Health Ministry is once again raising the alarm over what they say is increased levels of indiscipline among Kenyans, leading to the growing COVID curve in the country. The latest being an incident where a Homa Bay-bound driver hoodwinked police by carrying an empty coffin, who later on tested positive for the virus. He had 8 passengers on board.
On the level of discipline, that the results for this country, the number of people who will die in this country, or the number of people who will not die in this country, will depend purely on the level of discipline that we exhibit going forward.
The coronavirus situation in the country could be worse if Kenyans continue to disregard the measures put up by the government. A section of Kenyans seem to be taking the recent cessation of movement from hotspot counties with utmost disregard, with Cabinet Secretary for Health Mutahi Kagwe mentioning incidents that have seen some quarantined after being discovered COVID-19 positive.
This person has now taken the disease to Homa Bay, where we have now tested the first positive case in Homa Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I am telling Kenyans, that until and unless we become self-disciplined, this disease is going to finish us.
In one instance, a group of people guised to be traveling for a funeral from Nairobi to Homa Bay County, and after being discovered by law enforcement officers, the driver was later discovered to be positive after being put on mandatory quarantine.
They managed to come from Nairobi, traveled all the way to Homa Bay, and thanks to the Homa Bay Authority, Governor's Authority, and administration, somebody got suspicious, and on opening the coffin, obviously found out what I am now informing you.
In addition, public service vehicles and long-distance trucks have been involved in bribery at roadblocks, as well as smuggling people from one county to another, respectively.
And once they get to a roadblock, they pay and come round the roadblock and walk and are taken again by an empty vehicle or otherwise. In other words, transporters are organizing themselves to pick at each point where there is a roadblock.
CS Kagwe has warned Kenyans against any person breaching the law, noting that stern action will be taken on those who continue to put the lives of other Kenyans at risk.
I am not trying to incite Kenyans against each other, but I am trying to say that information about a person who you know very well was in Kisumu or Nyeri or Mombasa, and you know that they are now in Nairobi and they are not supposed to be here, please inform the police, inform the authorities, because that person may very well be your killer.
This comes with more people confirmed positive from different areas in the country outside of quarantine, contrary to recent cases that have been confirmed at quarantine facilities.
There are models that say that we could lose as many as 28,000 Kenyans dead.
The total number of confirmed cases in the country now stands at 262 cases, with 16 more cases testing positive in the last 24 hours. Diana Rachel Mbugwa, Ebru TV.
While sticking with the numbers now, and every state in Nairobi County has a confirmed COVID-19 case, with the numbers now rising to 262 after 16 more people were confirmed positive in the last 24 hours. Nairobi has 193 of the total 262 cases so far confirmed in Kenya, which translates to 73.66% of the infections. It is followed by Mombasa County, which has 43 cases. 2 additional people were confirmed dead from the virus, bringing the total to 12 people, while 7 more people were discharged, bringing the total number of recoveries to 60. Of the 16 positive cases, 15 were Kenyans, of which 9 are from Nairobi, 5 from Mombasa, and 1 from Homa Bay County, with the age group of the confirmed being from 23 years to 84 years old. Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, in his address to the nation, stated that the age group of the current confirmed cases, confirmed numbers, as well as the numbers confirmed in different parts of Nairobi County. So Capital Matters now, and Eastleigh Estate right here in Nairobi County was today fumigated for the whole day, paralyzing operations in the business area, which was ordered shut on Friday. All malls and shops were closed indefinitely following an abrupt decision by the Eastleigh Business District community, a measure they say will combat the spread of COVID-19 in the area. On Friday, The Eastleigh business community halted operations in all shops and malls in the area in a bid to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Now, this was communicated by the community's Secretary General, Omar Hussein, who indicated that the move was done without notice to prevent panic shopping that would have resulted in disregard of the government directive on social distancing. Right now, my colleague Ayub Abdikadir Abdi now joins me live for that interview I promised you as we started this bulletin. Now, good evening once again, bro. How is the situation in Eastleigh as we speak now?
Thank you once again, Kazungu. It's not normal. It's not a culture that the locals in Eastleigh, part of Nairobi, the neighborhood, are used to because of the impromptu decision by the business community on Friday to issue an order to shut down all shopping malls in the neighborhood. And this literally created more or less a sort of like a situation where people on Friday evening appeared not compliant at first until the intervention of the security agencies, who of course alongside the business community have been scaling up efforts in terms of response to the deadly novel coronavirus COVID-19. In more or less the situation today, Saturday, was that pharmaceuticals, chemists, laboratories, hospitals, and retailers that deal with foodstuffs have been operating, but people have been keeping some form of social distancing to ensure that the issue which was ordered by the business community was adhered to. It again lays out the aspect of the needed collaborative effort by the county government of Nairobi, which has the lion's share of the so far confirmed more than 260 cases, and the national government in an attempt to contain the virus here in Nairobi County. Therefore, for the people of Eastleigh, again, it was not a normal day, of course, starting on Friday evening, then today, Saturday, until Tuesday. However, what remains even more uncertain for them is that the notice was issued indefinitely and they don't know when businesses will be opening up, especially the shopping malls that deal with businesses.
Ayub, we had information of that this whole situation was brought about by the death of an imam in that particular area. Now, do we know what caused the imam's death, and does it have anything relatable to the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, it hasn't been established yet as to of course, whether the imam had a history of travel or whether this was a case of local transmission. But as per the statement issued by CS Mutahi Kagwe, it was very clear that he died of the novel coronavirus here in the country, which of course sent shockwave in the neighborhood. And owing to the social aspect of the Somali community, which is the dominant ethnic community in the neighborhood, of course, visiting each other, having meeting at joints to have a cup of coffee or of course, tea, listening to the programs on radio. It literally was a case of perhaps fear, which was instilled in the locals who live in the neighborhood. But as to the cause of the death, novel coronavirus, as confirmed by the CS Mutahi Kagwe, but what again is perhaps, or what remains to be the challenging point, is how many people he had come into contact with, how the government will trace these people, put them in quarantine, and to ensure that they do not infect the rest of the members of the community or the neighborhood, largely the locals who live in the neighborhood of Eastleigh.
Now, Ayub, also, as the day progressed, we had reports of roadblocks in that particular area. We saw a police fire engine in that particular area as they tried to contain this fumigation exercise. I understand that all shops and all malls around that particular area have been shut down. Of course, now is past the curfew time. But are we seeing a situation whereby tomorrow morning business will continue as normal, even after this COVID death in that area?
Well, to just answer you in 2 pointers, for the shopping malls that normally trade in clothing, that is unlikely because the notice is indefinite by the business community. That's not a priority for them. However, essential service providers like wholesale or retailers who deal with foodstuffs, pharmaceuticals are allowed to operate, but people have been keeping some aspect of social distancing and adhering to the guidelines rather that were issued by the Minister of Health. However, what remains uncertain is the indefinite period of more or less the partial lockdown necessitated by the business community's order, or the form of issued order by the business community in regard to ensuring that the virus does not spread, is to give them, or give the response team, enough time to fumigate the neighborhood, especially in shopping malls where people normally flood for shoppings, coming all the way from the counties of Nakuru and the larger Eastern Central Africa, to ensure that all these shopping malls where people do normally flood are fumigated so that the virus does not spread. However, there are projections that by Tuesday, business might be normal, but I rule it out that tomorrow there is unlikely resumption of businesses in the local neighborhood.
So, Ayub, of course, we also saw during the day, as the police were trying to go ahead with this particular fumigation exercise, there were a contingent of police officers there, and of course led by regional police authorities. And I don't know, that's why I was asking you previously, when are we likely to see Eastleigh get back to normal? Because we understand Eastleigh has been one of the choke points in terms of, it's one of the densely populated areas in Nairobi County. So how is this COVID death likely to impact on the day-to-day activities of normal Eastleigh residents, Ayub?
All right, Kazungu, for the security agencies, it was, of course, as a result of them swinging into action with an upfront measure to ensure that the order by the business community is adhered to ensure that people do not go to the shopping malls or the shopping malls remain shut. That order is, of course, adhered to. In terms of the resumption of businesses, it's unlikely, it's indefinite, because the period was never outlined. It was not a measured approach by the business community. It was more or less an impromptu sort of a measure to ensure that the virus does not spread following the confirmation of the first case and the person has died of the virus. In terms of the impact economically, the pinch is, of course, already felt, because there is a network of businesses in the neighborhood, from the person who is in the shopping mall to down, of course, on the road, the person who sells the retail, in terms of the clothing, in terms of the food stuff, and then the impact it will have on this network of people who depend on the neighborhood for their economic income is unmeasurable, and then the impact this will have on the county of Nairobi, since it's an income generating neighborhood, as is or as are the other cases in the county. And then, of course, in terms of the measure of the economic impact later, we'll be able to assess that. For now, though, the pinch is felt here economically.
Ayub, tell us a little bit about the imam that lost his life due to coronavirus. Was he in the hospital? If yes, and if no, do you have any reports of the contact tracing process? Has it already started to the people who were closest to him in Eastleigh?
In terms of the hospitalization, no records, of course, have been provided, but the government appears to be having the people who he came into contact with, because he was a Quranic teacher, meaning that since the social gatherings were banned by the government, Quranic lessons were no longer offered by the Duksis, or what I may call the Islamic schooling system in Eastleigh neighborhood, which is largely, of course, a Muslim-dominated neighborhood. But looking at the contact tracing, of course, that remains to be an overwhelming priority for the government to ensure that the people he came into contact with are traced, they are quarantined, and for those who will not be reached out, of course, there will be a direction for them to self-quarantine themselves. And owing to the societal and social setup of the Somali community, definitely he must have reached out to as many households as possible, not the, of course, households where he normally issues the Quranic lessons, but equally, of course, visiting friends, relatives, and relations across the neighborhood. In terms of the hospitalization records, no records have been provided so far by the government or the family, and the government appears to be, of course, hot on the heels of the people he came into contact with, I'm sure, and it remains an overwhelming priority.
All right, Ayub Abdikadi Arbi for us in Eastleigh. Ayub, stay safe, and thank you so much, bro, for that.
Cheers. Good evening, my brother.
All right. Moving on to the coastal region now, and a section of Mijikenda elders now want the government to consider herbal remedies for cure of the coronavirus. Now, the elders led by Kaya Elder Joseph Karisa Marandu say they have been treating an illness with similar symptoms to the coronavirus with traditional herbs for decades.
Corona, kama tunavyoambiwa na tunavyosikia, ni ugonjwa ambao ni mpya, hauna tiba na hauna chanjo. Lakini tukiangalia historia ya watu wa pwani, hasa wa Giriama, Mijikenda, tumekuwa na ugonjwa sampuli hiyo ambayo ukiangalia yale zile wazungu wanaita symptoms zinalengana kabisa na ugonjwa wa corona. Ugonjwa huu ulitokezea zamani sana miaka kama ya 50 hivi, na ulikuwa unaitwa kivuti.
Miaka ya nyuma kulikuwa na huu ugonjwa kama mwenzangu alivyoeleza, na mtu alikuwa akipatikana na hii ugonjwa ukiitwa kivuti, kibomu. Ulikuwa unatenganishwa na watu, unawekwa kajumba kashambani, alafu unaanza kuchemshiwa, kunachemshwa miti kama mbirandu, mdungu, mnago, muhirihiri, ile miti mikali, alafu unafukizwa, na baada ya siku 6 unajisikia nafuu. Ikiwa inakuanza na ikijulikana, unakatiwa tu yale makoko ya magamba ya mhirihiri, unatafuna kwa sababu ni makali sana. Baada ya siku 2-3.
I'm not really sure about that particular clip, whether it is the cure for COVID or the masks. But let us move on to Migori County, where residents in that particular county are being urged to stay at home and more so avoid inter-county movements as part of the effort to contain the novel coronavirus. Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado says residents should avoid crowded places such as market centers and strictly adhere to stay-at-home directives.
Traders who had been restricted in Migori markets continue to attract huge crowds, a situation the county boss says is increasing risks of contracting the virus. Border operators and their clients in the county have also been defying orders by not wearing masks. Migori governor says they should be arrested and charged. He directed police in all roadblocks to ensure non-compliant border operators are forced to follow the rules.
And they are the people who are now going to put us at the greatest risk, because most of them, it is as if they are doing it for the police. When they approach a roadblock, you will see them now putting on their face mask.
The county chief said movement restrictions at the border will succeed after reports that the Tanzanian authorities closed their borders with Kenya.
We are highly cautioning that we must restrict our movements outside the county. Yeah, this thing started very far away from us in China, but people were moving from place to place, transported into those other parts of the world.
The governor says a lockdown would work if it means saving the lives of residents from the deadly coronavirus.
The mere fact that you have not recorded a positive case, I said earlier, that does not mean that we are now immune to it. We can easily contract it through people who will be moving either into our territory or outside our territory and coming back.
Accordingly, Migori County business community has been lauded for putting up their resources to aid the fight of COVID-19. Migori County Commissioner Joseph Rotich called upon the residents to use the 988 toll-free number to avail any vital information which can help fight COVID-19. Rotich warned that bar owners who violate coronavirus restrictions risk more punitive actions as stipulated in the Kenyan law.
Some people went to start drinking in the dens. It will be very, very tough on those areas. Chiefs are under firm instructions to make sure that people are not found in drinking dens. Members of the public, we still urge them, if you find those places, because they are dangerous.
They insisted that they will ensure all requirements to combat COVID-19 in Migori County are followed.
To the rumble in the Jubilee jungle now, and after a week of push and pull between the leaders and officials of the ruling Jubilee party, in which allies of the Deputy President, that is William Ruto, carried the day, the dust is yet to settle at the party, as now a section of leaders want Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju to resign.
A day after the registrar of political parties rejected a move to change the official of the party, internal rifts in the Uhuru-led party are now widening. A section of members are now calling for the resignation of the party Secretary General Raphael Tuju, failure to which they will eject him from the Uhuru Kenyatta-led political party. Led by Majority Leader in the National Assembly at Duale, the leaders say time has come to put the Jubilee Party in order. Duale says that this group will file petition for Tuju's removal if he cannot quit on his own. The Milili MP Didmas Barasa says Tuju should relinquish his position as the interim Secretary General since his term ended in March. The Registrar of Political Parties, Anne Nderitu, in a letter to Tuju on Friday, declined to change the names of the party officials by adding 5 members to the party's top decision-making organ as proposed by Tuju. Instead, Nderitu asked the party to use its own internal dispute resolution mechanism or refer the dispute to the political party's dispute resolution tribunal. Tuju in early February moved to change the names of the party officials, claiming that a number of them had taken up other positions in the government. However, upon gazetting the proposed new members, a new storm kicked off in Jubilee Party, with more than 350 members writing to protest the intended changes. Another complainant was Deputy President William Ruto, who termed the intended changes as illegal and fraudulent. Davis Mberia, Ebru News.
To Baringo now, where a section of leaders in that particular county have claimed that the unending banditry attacks in the regions are championed by politicians. Now, this comes as Baringo Governor Stanley Kiptis called upon parents to restrain their school-going children from taking part in the attacks that have left several people dead in the last 1 month.
Efforts to contain the numerous banditry attacks in Baringo County have proved to be a hard nut to crack, with a new development from a section of the leaders in the region alleging the attacks are politicized. Speaking at the Kenya School of Government, Baringo County, after a security meeting, Governor Stanley Kiptis noted that school-going children are at a great risk as a good number of them are being recruited by the attackers.
Parents is to take care of their children, because these are young boys who are causing a lot of pain. Let them get engaged in doing home studies during this time of COVID-19. It's a long holiday that we don't know when it will end, but parents should take care of their young ones.
Kiptis said more efforts are put in place to contain the situation and ensure security of the area residents.
They can borrow from other countries where one surrenders the illegal gun and they are given the legal guns as an exchange if they want to protect themselves. That's what has happened elsewhere.
However, some leaders are alleged to finance the attacks and are therefore not interested in the resolution of the crisis.
The other time, wakati tulitoa DS, walienda kureid kwa parke. The other week, wamekuja kuwa watu kwa wadi ya Chief Songol. So these things ni kama the revenge mission, and I'm not afraid of saying that. These things are politically castigated. So go deep na muangalie and muone the finances wa hii kitu ni nani. As a leader, fitina yote ya ward unapata. Hakuna mtu ako na network kama mwanasiasa kwa ward ama kwa constituency. So wasitudanganya kwamba wajui. Watuambie they are using these guys for their own financial gain.
This comes in the wake of banditry attacks in the county that has claimed 6 lives in the last 1 month and left 3 others nursing gunshot injuries at the Baringo County Referral Hospital. The areas affected are parts of Baringo North and South, which border East Pokot, where most rustlers are believed to emanate from. Milia Kisenya for Ebru TV.
Back to the COVID pandemic, but on an African landscape now, and the World Health Organization is warning that the number of reported COVID-19 cases in the African continent are way lower than the real situation on the ground due to low capacities in testing. Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus is, however, saying that the global health body is working around the clock to reverse the grim scenario. With today being the 107th day since the first case of COVID-19 was reported, the entire globe is not out of the woods yet, with the numbers of those who have succumbed from the virus so far standing at over 150,000.
In the past week, there has been a 51% increase in the number of reported cases in my own continent, Africa.
In Africa, the number of confirmed cases stand at about 19,000, with the World Health Organization now saying the reported figures do not represent the real situation on ground.
With the current challenge of obtaining testing kits, it's likely that the real numbers are higher than reported.
According to Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, efforts to get the real COVID picture in Africa could be hampered as a result of lack of enough testing kits.
But there are still significant gaps in access to testing kits. We're working with partners to fill those gaps and help countries find the virus.
In Kenya,
we are bound to get more cases of coronavirus within our population.
The numbers stand at 246, with the figures expected to rise as the government embarks on mass testing for all Kenyans.
And so the next 2-3 weeks will be very important for us as we first start with targeted testing of the quarantine centers, then for our healthcare workers, and then rolling out the mass testing in the different institutions.
The confirmed coronavirus death toll on the continent stands at 967, with fatalities including the former president of the Republic of the Congo, Jacques Joachim Yombi Opango, Somalia's former Prime Minister Nur Hassan Hussein, and Nigeria's President Chief of Staff Abba Kyari.
In addition to tests, we're also working hard to accelerate the development, production, and equitable distribution of a vaccine. Yesterday, I spoke to other partners to discuss how to prevent another pandemic by getting vaccines from labs to people as fast as possible and as equitably as possible.
Of Africa's 54 countries, only 2 are yet to report a case of the virus: the Comoros and Lesotho. All right, let us play now on former Ivorian striker Didier Drogba and one of the country's biggest music groups, Magic System, distributed aid to 200 families in a poor area of Abidjan as part of the efforts to fight the coronavirus crisis. Drogba joined Salif Traore, known as Saalfo, the Magic System frontman, for the second phase of the Caravan of Solidarity against COVID-19, financed by their respective foundations, the European Union and a real estate company. A total of 1,000 families in 11 areas of the Ivorian economic capital will receive soap, sanitizing gel, rice, cooking oil and sugar over 11 days. Now on Sunday, Didier Drogba offered his foundation's hospital to the Ivorian state as a testing center. Ivory Coast has 688 cases of the coronavirus, including 6 deaths, according to the latest official report on Thursday. Right, and that is Ebru Primetime News on this 18th day of April 2020. On behalf of the super amazing team that has helped put this bulletin together, thank you so much, Kenneth, for watching. My name is Kenneth Kazungu. See you soon, and God bless.